What is your focus for 2024? I'm going to talk today about quarterly planning, and it might be a little different than what you're used to. Many of us tend to want to plan out the whole year. Not a problem if you want to do that. But I'm going to discuss today about 6 strategies that you can follow to help you with a quarterly planning instead of a yearly. And why do you want to do quarterly planning? Why? Why? Because most of us have this idea, we want the whole year. We want the year to be productive. We want to be successful in the new year. We have a lot of hopes and dreams, personal and professional. But I want you to consider taking a quarterly plan. It's so much easier. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to talk about, how to do that. But, you know, if you have a quarterly plan and it's not working as well as you wanted, you can pivot really easily and plan for the second quarter. If things are going really well, you're going to want to keep doing that. But if you don't analyze that regularly, you won't know. And so that is what if you're jumping on, let me know. Uh, what you do. Do you do a quarterly? Do you do a yearly? Maybe you don't do any kind of planning. And there's no judgment here. Okay. Um, but I will say the benefit to planning is that you set yourself a focus. Now, a lot of times people have a word, and we're going to talk about that word here in a little bit. We discussed this in our coffee chat yesterday, and I gave them some of these tips. And if you were on that, you saw that, but I'm going to dive a little deeper today. One of the first things you're going to want to do is sit down and kind of map out what do you want to do and why. And we're going to talk about that. So the first thing you're going to want to do, and this is this is like non-negotiable. This is to sit down and actually block out the time you're going to schedule your quarterly planning date. So if you're going to if you always plan for the new year before the new year starts, set that date. If it's going to be like January 1st, if that's your normal day, set that date, but then map out a quarter. 3 months after that, plan a time where you're going to plan out the next quarter. Go ahead and do that. If you have to do that right now, if you're watching this on replay, pause this and do that right now. So then number 2, you're going to have what's like a look back. A lot of times, now I don't know about you, but for me, when I'm looking back at the year and analyzing it, and unless I kept really good notes, I'm not going to remember every detail. So, I mean, I can look back at some of the stats and things that I've recorded, but really what I remember is the last 3 months. I can look back right now at the last 3 months and I can kind of uh, look at it and go, okay, that was really effective. That worked for me. And I can see, could that work for me now? But is it going to work for me next year? And so if it is, I'm going to definitely carry it over. Look back at what things didn't go so well and what things didn't go well. Now, I want to preface all of this by saying this process is the fun part. This is the part where you're figuring out the what. You're not figuring out the how, you're not figuring out the why, you're just figuring out the what. Maybe a little bit of the why. So you're going to look back in the last 3 months. Then you're going to sit down and you're going to really focus on what do you want to be, do, feel, and have next year or next quarter. You're going to sit there and go, okay, what do I want to feel? Who do I want to be? Who do I want to be next year? And, like maybe it's someone that is doing what you're wanting to do, right? That person's already made that success. So you can kind of look at that person and go, okay, that's kind of who I want to be. Of course, you want to be yourself, but I'm saying you want to be in that position. What do you want to feel? And maybe it's personal. This can be a personal journey. It doesn't have to be business. But what do you want to feel? How do you want to feel next year? Do you want to feel filled with joy? You want to feel filled with accomplishment? Like, what do you want to feel? What do you want to have? What do you want to have next year? And what would a person, so think about this when you're doing this, after you make this decision, what would a person who is where you want to be, what are they doing? Right? What are they doing? And put that person, are they going to worry over the little things that you're worrying about right now? Right? Think about that. What are they focusing on the things that you're focusing on? That was something when I first started my journey, I really struggled. I would get so overwhelmed. I would want so badly to feel like I knew all the answers. And what I wanted was to be a fly on the wall of like 2 or 3 very successful people to see exactly what they did. Just because I hadn't felt like I didn't know. So this is the steps, right? You go put yourself, so that's where I would do. I would sit there and go, okay, I would think about that, but then I'd also kind of observe, like, what do they do? And this is where realized when I started, I didn't like the idea of having an email list. Oh my gosh. I had all that mindset stuff would come in like, well, I don't open mine. No one's going to open my emails. But then I started looking at the people that are very successful. And what do? They email me. And what do I do? Half the time, or sometimes if I really got to like them and know them and trust them, I open their emails regularly. And a lot of times I opt into something that they're offering. And so figure out who you want to be and then what are they doing and not doing. Okay, so then I want you to look at the milestone you want to accomplish in the next 3 months. Now, doesn't that sound easier than a year from now? Like, you don't know I mean, in my case, I didn't know what I was going to do a year from now. I knew kind of a big picture thing, but I didn't really know. But in 3 months, I can know. I know that, right? I want to achieve this in 3 months. And then once I achieve that in 3 months, once I do those 3 months, I can go from there. So like this past 3 months, I did like 2, 3 summits, different types. I was the holidays were there. And so I look back and I go, okay, I grew my email list exponentially. So those definitely worked for me. Um, and I just looked at the things that didn't work as well. Like, okay, so the holidays came through. I was able to enjoy them. That worked well for me. That was probably this year was probably the first holiday time period that I could really fully be present mentally and physically. Because always before I'd in the back of my mind, I'm going, I haven't done anything I'm supposed to be doing. I'm behind. I'm feeling behind. And here I am enjoy, around the holidays and everything stops because I have to take care of family stuff, right? What kind of attitude is that? I wanted to be able to enjoy my holidays and be fully present. And so this year I was able to do that. So that went really well. I'm definitely carrying that over. All right. Um, so for example, in your milestone, planning the next 3 months. I'm sorry, I missed a comment. Love breaking down my goals into small pieces. Yeah. I love that. I see Facebook user, so let me know who you are. I love that because when you break it down in small pieces, and that's why 3 months just seems doable because you're going to narrow down that focus. You're gonna, and in fact, I wrote an email. If you're not on my list, make sure you are. I wrote an email today that said, talked about how earlier this year, this is an example, but how I chose one thing to focus on. And I know that some of you are going, what? One thing? But I did. But what it ended up doing was everything else benefited. So I chose that one thing to focus on my business. And because of that, I grew my email list. People saw me, I was more exposed. People saw me exposed. I was out there more. Right. Um, so what happened was my audience grew, my authority grew, and also my income. And so focus on one thing to get really good at that one thing. I think we tend to, in this society, try to do so many things. We want to take this course. We want to learn this. We want to do this. The multi-passionate entrepreneur is a wonderful thing. And you can still do that. but try to focus on one thing. Yes, Rudy says, I can focus on more than 3 months at a time." So there she goes. Rudy's got her stuff figured out. Like, the beautiful thing about creating a quarterly plan is that once you do that, you can rinse and repeat, especially if it's what's working good. Oh, she said she can't. She can't focus on more. I'm like, "You're a rock star, Rudy. I'm ready to shout you out." Rudy says she can't focus on more than 3 months at a time. And I think that's where I'm at. I love when I started doing quarterly instead of the year. It was so much more productive. So for example, you've got a milestone in 3 months. Let's say you want to launch a course, and you can do that. So you're going to break that down. So maybe month 1, you're going to do the research for the course. You're going to get all the research. Month 2, you're going to get your marketing plan. And then month 3, you're going to launch the course. And so you're going to, at the next step, and this is number 5. So if you're following along, we got 1, block your time for your quarterly plan. Block that time that you're going to sit down and plan, right? Then you're going to have a number 2, you look back the last 3 months and analyze that. Number 3, you're going to really focus on what do you want to be, do, feel, and have in these next 3 months. And number 4, what is the milestone you can accomplish in the next 3 months? What is that one thing? And then you're going to map it out. You're going to go back to that, you know, that be, do, feel, and have. You're going to look at your map, and you're going to look at your personal schedule, because our life, how many times have you heard or said, life just got in the way? Well, we don't need that to happen. Yes, sometimes it can happen because things pop up, but everyday life should not get in the way. So map out your summer vacation. Map out the weekend trips, or my mind would like, what do we map out during the week? If you know that every certain times of that, like every Wednesday, that's my family time. I help my granddaughter with the kids. I know that's the day that I'm not going to schedule anything. And so if I have a course or a webinar or a workshop, unless I make prior arrangements, then I'm not going to map that. I'm not going to schedule that. And so let's say you decided to launch a course in the first 3 months. Well, you certainly probably aren't going to want to do it during spring break if you have kids. Now, it's not to say you can't, but do you want to? No, you don't want to, or at least I don't. You don't want to. And so you choose looking ahead of that. I can tell you from experience, I have launched things. I have promoted things right in the middle of something crazy. And I thought, why did I do that? It's because I didn't do this activity. I didn't plan ahead and go, oh, so every spring, I'm belong to a cowboy church, and I'm in charge of the arena events. And so we do a play day every spring and summer. And so I will plan those out. I will map those out so I can have, the day is usually Saturday, so that usually doesn't affect work. But during the week, I need to prepare. I need a paperwork I need to print. I get the ribbons ready, all the things ready for it. So I will have that mapped out. Rudy said, like band practice, church board meetings, things that are going to be children's activities. Now, some of those you don't know ahead of time. So you go, okay, well, school starts this time. I know there's going to be some after school activities. So maybe during the hours of this time period, I'm going to make sure I keep available. Like things like that, just being aware. The other thing is you're going to want to see it. You're going to make it visual. You're going to put your mile marker, what you're trying to do, on some kind of whiteboard or a piece of paper, somewhere where you can see it. Now I'm going to just touch on vision boards. It's not necessarily that I'm talking about vision boards today, but you want to be able to see it visually. You can do, share it with your family, share it with your teammates. If you have teammates, share it with your, your buddies on social media that get what you're doing, right? You're gonna say, "Look, I'm gonna be accountable. I want you to hold me accountable to this," right? Um, the beautiful thing, like I said, is about creating this 3-month process is that once you do it once and you refine it, it's basically a rinse and repeat, depending on your business and how what you're trying to accomplish. But let's say you're gonna launch a course. Hopefully, you're not launching a course every 3 months, but you can get in that promotion. You can promote it and get that really refined. All right, then the next one is you're gonna write out this mission, this what you're this milestone, the mission of what you're trying to achieve. You're gonna write out what your maybe your word. So what this is what I suggest. Like if you're in the vision board person, and I love that you can that I think this is important. But you can also, I believe, also sometimes words can be effective. I know pictures are very effective, but if that's like, I don't want to do that, then I'm going to give you this. Write out your mission, write out your word for the year, put it somewhere where you're going to see it every day. What do you want to achieve these next 3 months? You know, if you have a, excuse me, if you have a word for the year, put that word on there. Oh, we talked about words yesterday in our coffee chat. It was so fun. We had a lot of fun with that. And so again, this should be fun and figuring out what the what, right? You're not figuring out the details yet. You're not getting in the nitty-gritty. You're not I don't want you to sit there and focus and go, "Well, I don't know that I can achieve that." Just go, "Okay, I'm going to get this done. This is what I want to achieve." And then you're going to reverse. Sorry, y'all. I got something flying around just hit me. Woo! And you're not going to focus on oh, Rudy, thank you. She said coffee chat is the best part of her week. Thank you, Rudy. Y'all, they made me cry yesterday. Y'all made me cry. I mean, it was so, oh, y'all were just, and we don't always cry, y'all, but it was so beautiful. I tell you, it was a beautiful, beautiful end of the year. It was our last for the year. We're going to start next year. Um, so you want to get in a place when you're doing this planning, you're going to want to get there in like somewhere that's helps you be creative. So for me, it's sitting in nature. That's how I get inspired. I can sit outside. I can sit on my back porch when I go camping, anything like that. Just I get so many downloads when I'm out in nature. But it for you might be a bougie coffee place. Wherever you go, bring out that creative space. Um, there is Brene Brown. I talked about this yesterday, Rudy. Brene Brown talks about and I probably don't have this exactly right, so bear with me, but it's your brain is like a piece of property. And we have a masculine and feminine side of us. And so if you consider the masculine side is the strategies and the planning and getting all the details worked out, right? And then the feminine side is where we're going to create that vision board, and we're gonna the feeling that comes behind it, and the uh, and the you know the creative side, right? And so you need to marry these two together, blend this because we both have those two. And just to give you an idea of how important the creativity side of our brains are, is that she said that 3 to 5 acres. So imagine our brain is 50 acres. 3 to 5 of those acres are, or I don't know. I don't even know 3 to 5, let me just go with this. 3 to 5 acres is the masculine side. That is the planning, the strategies, all that. 50 acres is our creative, represents that, like that space. So we need to have that. Allow yourself time to sit there and really get focused on, and I guess let yourself be creative. Let your brain, your mind, and your heart come together. Now, I do it with prayer. I take it to God. I let I um go to him with gratitude and just kinda but when I don't get quiet, it doesn't come to me. So if you're like, I've asked God, I've prayed, or I've tried to sit for about 5 minutes, it didn't come to me. I think the thing that s gets in the way is all the noise. And so allow yourself some times and give yourself enough time and space to be able to let that come to you, right? You wanna have that, you wanna have that time to plan. And I think that when we plan our and set up our calendar, we figure out what we can do and what we can't do, or not really, I shouldn't even say it like that because that seems not the message I wanna give. It's what we have available for our business and what we don't. If you control your calendar, you control your life. That's what I have lived by my calendar for many years. So, take this time. This is a lot longer of a time than I normally go, but take this time and spend it with you and get clear on what you wanna do in the next 3 months, and then let me know. Let me know. Let me know. I'd love to know. I'd love to know what inspires you. Um, what are you gonna put in front of you? What is your word, your statement? What is your mission to keep you going? Because what you're gonna wanna do with that, you're gonna wanna keep it somewhere that when you have that day or that moment that you're like, "What the heck am I here for? Why am I doing this?" You're gonna see that, and it's gonna remind you. It's gonna bring you centered back into the person that and the purpose that you're here for. So, I love y'all. I hope you have a fabulous, fabulous rest of your week, and Merry Christmas. Um, and if you are not in the social media marketing made simple and fun group, jump on in there. We have a weekly coffee chat that's going to start up on January 8th. We have the next couple weeks off because of the holiday, but I hope you enjoy. Like I said, have a Merry Christmas and have a wonderful Happy New Year. I should be here next week. It's on Boxing Day, so I will probably be here next Tuesday at 9. Um, but I'm not sure what it's gonna be about yet because I was gonna do this next week, but I decided to do it this week just in case. So, my husband's off, and so I am going to probably be here, but the topics is probably gonna be something very, probably related to something like this, but, I had it planned for this, but we are going to, see what happens. Just show up and I'll have something fun. Talk to you later.